Hey guys, Ash here from Really Fit. I'm outside on my deck. It's a little bit of a different Facebook Live avenue, or platform I should say, but I hope you guys enjoy. I wanted to get a little bit of sun today, and I am enjoying a beer. Today we're going to be talking about how to make naughty foods healthy, and I wanted to start by going over kind of in sections. So I am all about making our naughty foods healthy because I truly believe this is instrumental in our success. And when you try to eliminate all your favorite foods, that's when you come into a lot of we want what we can't have, and then you end up kind of overindulging. So I think it's really important to kind of find ways to enjoy your favorite foods, but in a healthy way, so without the guilt, without the bloating, without the water retention, without the constipation and all that. So I'm going to start in sections, and I'm going to begin with your drinks. And let's start in the morning. So let's start with your tea and coffee. As many of you know, I really encourage you guys to have your tea and coffee black, so without any cream and without any sugar, especially cow's dairy. Now, if you really like to color it a little bit, maybe you could throw in some non-cow's dairy creamer, so go for that. But or some maple syrup if you want a little bit of sweetness. But I do encourage you to try and have that black. Another way to have one of your favorite foods, a lot of people really enjoy lattes. So a healthy way to have a latte is to have it with either almond milk or coconut milk. Great alternative because it has that little bit of fat in it that we look for, that we find really satisfying. So that's another great healthy alternative. And if you want to add a little bit of sugar in there, a little bit of sweetness, I recommend a natural sugar, one that's the least amount of processed as possible. So something like either 100% maple syrup, raw honey, or maybe even some coconut sugar, because I'm told it's going to decrease your blood sugar less than the average tablespoon of table sugar, and it's going to have less of an effect on your blood sugar levels, which means it's going to have less of an effect on you holding on to fat. So, but you don't want to go crazy with it because it still is a sugar. So that's where we're going to start. And then we're going to move into, let's say, your lunch hour or your evening, whenever you're looking for a drink. So I would have a really hard time telling clients or any of you not to have a drink, an alcohol drink, because let's face it, this is part of life, and if you enjoy having drinks, that would be really hard for you to give up, because that's a way that we actually try to relax with our loved ones. It's a way we celebrate with loved ones. It's kind of like a ceremonious type thing. So I would never tell somebody to not drink. Although it does decrease your metabolism, I'm all about finding the balance. So for me, with beer, I go for ones like this. Have a little sip, that are typically a little bit more craft. So often with those, they're a little bit less full of preservatives. So I remember hearing once that there is up to something like that in like a regular domestic beer. So say like a Coors Light or a Canadian. I don't know that as a fact, so don't take my word on that, but I do remember hearing in and around 200. That's a lot. So end up being a little bit. Oops, I lost you there for a second. Often when you're having more like local type craft beers, they end up being, if you read them, only like 5 ingredients on the back, which is pretty awesome. So you're having less stuff put into your body, less toxins, which means less water retention, better fat burning, all that kind of stuff. So that's a good place to start if you are a beer drinker like me. Now, if you're really sensitive to gluten, which I was for a long time, I went completely gluten-free for, I think, over 2 years, just to kind of like detox and recuperate my digestive system. So I went completely gluten-free on beer as well, which is really hard going from an IPA beer to gluten-free beer. But there are gluten-free beer options as well if you want to try and keep things clean while you're eating. Let me just see what people are saying here. Oh, sorry, that's not a question. I just saw, I don't think there are. Nope, it's not a question. So anyways, that's where I start. And then when it comes to wine, there's some people that say wines have sulfates in them and it can give them headaches. And that is a preservative. It can be a natural preservative, but it is a preservative, which means that it could potentially be a little bit toxic. But there are sulfate-free wines out there if you want to have something like that. So that is an option as well. And if you find that you get a lot of headaches when you have sulfates, that would help with those as well. So that's kind of the drinking section of how to make your naughty foods clean. Okay, so as I always say, have your black tea, have your black coffee. If you're gonna go lattes, skip the cow's dairy, even if it's lactose free, and have something that is either almond or coconut. And then if you need to add that sweetener, add something a little bit more natural that at least you're going to get some vitamins and minerals from, like 100% maple syrup, raw honey, or raw organic palm sugar, like a coconut sugar. Okay, so there we are with our drinks. You guys can let me know after if you have any questions about that. Let me have another sip of my beer. It's a rough night here at the house, sitting on the deck with the beer, doing a Facebook Live. And then so let's get into the food. The number one food I heard last week in the world is pizza. And for many reasons. So obviously because it's a fast food, it's convenient food, but also because it has so many properties in it that are going to leave our, chemically as very satisfied. So it's super high in calories. It has lots of high fat, lots of carbs, all those goodies that leave us feeling very satisfied and actually have those feel good release hormones going on every time we eat it. But it's not healthy. And but it can be made healthy. So if you want to enjoy pizza guilt-free, I have came down with my own versions, and I actually have 3 of them to share with you, that I don't feel bloated when I have. I don't retain water after. It's guilt-free, all those things, and I feel light still. So when I have a regular pizza, I get constipated, I break out because of the cheese, I feel super bloated, and I'm retaining so much water that I can't even get my finger off. I can't even get my ring off the next day. So a couple ways to have a healthy pizza. I'd say my first way, my most convenient, most cost efficient way, is to have it on either a brown rice wrap. So I get the 12-inch wraps, and then I put a little bit of sauce on top. Excuse me. That's what happens when you have a beer. And then I have it with all the veggies I like. I often have prosciutto ham, and then I put a little bit of goat's feta, or I have a little bit of Daiya cheese, something like that. So, and then I just put that on top, and then I throw it in the oven on broiler, and it takes 5 minutes. So it's super quick. Another way is having spread grain English muffins. So you could make little mini pizzas, which would be fun if you're doing it with a family. You make little mini pizzas, and that way you can try different kinds. You can have 2 or 3 of them, and then same thing, put whatever you want on top. They're going to have to cook for a little bit longer, but really super quick, and it is satisfying because you're getting the carbs, you're getting the fat, but they're healthier carbs. They're gluten-free or low gluten or easy to digest gluten with the healthier fats as well. So that would be kind of my go-to healthy version of pizza. But sometimes I just want to order in, and I want to wait for that pizza. I want the anticipation for it coming. I just want the excitement of choosing what I'm going to have. So I have found that getting from Pizza Nova is the best for me. I find it has the best gluten-free pizza dough. It also has 2 different dairy options you can get for cheese. So you can get Daiya cheese, which is completely vegan for those of you that don't want to have any animal products, and then you can also get goat's feta, which is nice because sometimes when you get feta cheese, it doesn't mean you're actually getting goats. It's often cow's cheese, so you can get that on there as well. And it's quite delicious. And when Matt and I get it, we have the pan warming up already with coconut oil, and when it gets here, we put it in the pan and we kind of crisp up the crust a little bit, and it tastes even better, and it tastes more like regular pizza. It's thin crust, but it's quite delicious, and it warms up well again on the pan, even the next day. So that's really nice. And then the third option would be you can get Daiya pizzas. So when I say Daiya, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's Daiya. DAIYA, and it is a vegan pizza you can get from the grocery store. It's only $10. So that's an option that we used to do for a while on Friday nights, because sometimes you don't feel like cooking on Friday night, so we would get that, and then we would have it with a salad. With a salad, and then it's super cheap as well, because when you order from Pizza Nova, the gluten-free and the dairy-free is quite a bit more expensive, so it's more of a treat. So if you want the cheaper options, you go for the first option of making it, but it's super quick, it's super tasty and super satisfying, or you go for the last option, and that is getting the Dia pizza pre-made, and it's in the organic frozen section. Let me just see about what about the whole wheat pitas, not pits? You could do whole wheat, but I'm sure, Ash, you know how I feel about gluten. I feel like gluten is it's a food that makes your body inflamed, so which isn't good. You end up retaining water. It's really hard to go to the washroom often after. It's just, you feel bloated. So in general, I'm not a huge advocate for people to even have whole wheat or whole grain breads, just because I don't think that it does your body much good. So for pitas, I would recommend instead getting those sprouted grain English muffin type things. So that's what I would suggest. So pizza, number one food. How do you make that naughty food that's so damn delicious healthy? That's how. You have 3 ways. So that's what I would do. It's still a little bit too bright. I'll get there soon. Okay, and then the next one, I just have these written down so I don't forget, is pasta. It's another fan favorite. Everyone loves pasta. It's super quick. It's especially quick for those of us that are busy throughout the week. It's a really good meal to kind of throw in midweek when you've ran out of your meal prepping stuff, and then you want something that is going to be quick and satisfying. So, pasta. My go-to pasta that I have all the time, we do have it weekly, is brown rice pasta. We have brown rice linguine, and we have it with avocado pesto, basil pesto. So we have, all I do is basically by the time the water has boiled, I already have made the dressing for it. So I blend 1 avocado with one of those like little packages of basil, half a lemon. I put in a little bit of, like a small handful of cashews. I put in some nutritional yeast just to up the vitamin B and to help with that like creamy, cheesy flavor. And then I top it off with some water. Some people use almond milk, but I like to use water, and 1 to 2 cloves of garlic. So by the time the water has boiled, I've already made that, I've blended it, and then I have brown rice pasta because once again, it doesn't have the gluten, so it doesn't bloat you, it doesn't retain the water, it's easier to digest. I find that when people eat pasta, they're like, oh my god, I'm so full. And a lot of the times it's just because your stomach is so distended from the gluten that you feel more full than you actually are. But this is just as satisfying if you pay attention while you're cooking it. It cooks just as well. It heats up well, so you can make extra if you want some leftovers. And having the avocado pesto pasta or avocado basil pesto on top gives you that fat, similar to the pizzas. You're getting the carbs and you're getting the fat, and but it's not bloating. It's super high in fiber, so you don't need a lot. Like, you don't need to fill your whole plate up like some people do with pasta. Like, between the brown rice pasta as well as the avocado, like, it is super fibrous. So like, you can't eat that much of it, and but you'll be super satisfied. So bonus. So yeah, if you want to have pasta, I would highly suggest you have a gluten-free pasta. If you want to be bloat-free, if you want to be void of water retention, and you just want to feel good after. Have you tried the lentil pasta? It's so good and made with lentils. Yes, I have, Laura, and I actually used to really promote it because it's super high in protein too. 20 grams a serving, which is crazy for a pasta. We used to get it from Costco, and then it was the Tolerant brand. And then they stopped selling it. So, and we were ordering it online for a while, and we just kind of got out of the habit. But it is an excellent pasta choice. Although some people are really sensitive to beans when it comes to bloating. So people that do have that sensitivity find that even with the pasta, it's the same reaction. They get really bloated, really gassy. So it wouldn't be my first recommendation, but it is an amazing recommendation if you can tolerate it. If you can tolerate the Tolerant pasta, it's really good. And it is super high in protein, so bonus there as well, because it's gonna keep your blood sugars level for longer. So yeah, great question. Okay, so those are like the two main guilty foods. If you guys have any other main meal guilt foods that you want me to comment on, I am happy to, but those would be the first two that I would make a comment on, because pizza and pasta are probably the most commonly used and somewhat abused foods, I should say, when it comes to eating things that we like but we feel guilty for, but even though we shouldn't, because we can have it in not in guilt ways. Okay, time to take these off. And then, whoops, shit, I just lost half my beer. And then let's go on to some of the savory type stuff. So some of the salty foods. So those of you that like to crave chips, I'm going to give you guys some healthier alternatives. Let me have another sip of my beer here that I just spilled. So good. So I'm sure many of you have heard me mention before, I'm going to mention it again, is popcorn. Homemade popcorn, though, because when you get popcorn made, pre-made from the grocery store, and it's just you throw it in the microwave, it is actually often in the bag coated with carcinogenic stuff. So the things that make it not stick, the things that kind of make it taste buttery, that stuff has been shown to be kind of toxic. So I would not recommend getting that, even if it says it's organic. So I would skip all microwave popcorn. I'm sorry, there is a convenience there, but I would not recommend that. Instead, I would recommend popping your own, and then you just put some coconut oil on it. You could melt some coconut oil and then you put that on it, and it tastes just like butter. You can even get butter flavored coconut oil now, and then you can put on some seasoned salt, and you can even dress it up sometimes with nutritional yeast, which kind of gives it that cheesy flavor, especially if you put it with seasoned salt as well, and it kind of gives it that cheesy flavor if you want something a little bit more rich. So that is a really good savory thing. And then also, it sounds really simple, but having guacamole. So making your own guacamole, adding in a bunch of salt to give it that savory. Salt isn't evil, okay? If you're eating really clean, salt is not evil, because you need iodine in your diet. So, but that comes from table salt, not sea salt, just to be noted. But so don't be afraid of it if you're eating super clean, because you do need to have some salt in your diet. So if you want something savory, go for this instead of the bad choices, right? So the things that are going to be more high calorie, high toxic, just a more bloating, all that kind of stuff. So I would make your own popcorn for something savory, but I would also have the guacamole, and you could have it with gluten-free, or I could just keep it simple with, say, like rice crackers or corn chips or something like that, and raw veggies, but I'm sure that's not on your list, that if stuff you want to hear for tonight. But yeah, so that would be for a savory. And also mixed nuts with salt on them, and you can even bake them if you want with a little olive oil to make them a little bit more rich, and add salt to them, so you don't have to get the unsalted ones all the time. You can enjoy stuff with salt on it. Like I said, you don't have to be so afraid of salt. So that would be a savory option. Now on to the sweets, because so many of us are, especially women, are especially around our period, are craving sweets, myself included. I am not exempt from this because I'm a personal trainer and I eat healthy most of the time. I get sweet cravings, and I need to satisfy these sweet cravings the best that I can. So the first one I have here, which I have quite often, I would say weekly, is dairy-free chocolate chips. And I get them, the brand is called, I think it's called Life Choice, and you get it in the organic section. They're quite expensive, so when I do have them, I often have them like in a small bowl or a small handful, and I mix them in with walnuts or any mixed nut that you enjoy. Yeah, pumpkin seeds is another good one that goes really well with it, especially if they're salted. There you go, your savory and your sweet. That is really good. So I like that. If I'm craving something sweet and quick and I don't want to make anything or go out and get anything, I have those on hand often, so that I can just pop them in the mouth or put them in a bowl with a bunch of nuts, and I'm full. Like, I can't have that many because I'm having it with the nuts, and I find I don't crave them more because they're not dairy. So guilt-free, and I don't feel bloated after, and I don't get acne after. Another one I have is no bake bars. So these no bake bars I make, they're super easy. I can give you guys the recipe, but basically it's just oatmeal, coconut oil, cacao, peanut butter, and Is there anything else? I think just like vanilla extract. And then you melt that all, you put it in a pan, you let it solidify, boom, you have yourself a no-bake bar, and it's delicious. It tastes like chocolate, and it is to die for, but beware because they're addictive, and it is still a sweet, so you don't want to overdo it, but it is a great option to have, and you can cut them up into little pieces if you're craving sweets. Let me just see what Julia's saying. Oh my god, it's so funny you mentioned sweets and periods. I was super bad. My husband and I got $90 worth of candy and chocolate at Bulk Barn a couple weeks ago. Yeah, let that sink in. $90. That is a lot. Do you have any healthy recipes for pie? You know what? I am not going to be the one to give you healthy recipes for pie because I am not a baker. I am not a good baker at all. I hate following instructions. I'm horrible at it, so my stuff never turns out well. Might be something I get into one day, but I don't have a pie option for you, Julia, but I can tell you that there are gluten-free pie crusts out there available, and you could just make your own inside for it if that's something you'd be interested in, because it would be less bloating. But if you're just having a pie once in a while, I wouldn't really worry about it. Just go for it. Enjoy it. Okay, so on to the sweets. The next one I love, it's avocado. I'm saying a lot of avocado, I'm realizing, but avocado is super satisfying and high in fiber, so I find that people get full fast, so they don't overeat. So avocado chocolate pudding is avocado, cacao, again, almond milk, maple syrup, and vanilla. It's so easy to make. You throw it in the blender. It literally takes like a minute or two, and it's really, really good and satisfying, and it's really high in fiber. And if you get cacao powder, it's actually really high in antioxidants as well, so which is a huge bonus. If we're looking to detoxify and have something that's guilt-free, at least you know you're getting some antioxidants and everything with it. And then my other sweet treat that I have daily, every day, I have a Larabar, and I have it often with my afternoon tea. So when Rowan goes down for her nap, I'll hop on the computer, I make myself a tea, and I have a Larabar, and I enjoy it every day. And I do crave sweets, so I find that if I have this every day, my sweet cravings are under bay. And I find that I get the chocolate chip ones. I find that they satisfy it the most. It's the chocolate chip ones or the peanut butter ones. They're quite delicious, and they only have, depending on what kind you get, from like 3 to 5 ingredients. So like super clean and a lot better for you than getting some sort of like, you know, sugar-free chocolate bar, sugar-free protein bar crap. So I would suggest just getting Larabars. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but it's quality. It's quality, and I don't feel bloated. I don't get a sugar crash because it has a little bit of the protein in it. So it's an awesome snack to have if you're craving sweets. And then one thing I've been having for a couple years now is dried ginger I get from the Bulk Barn. So there you go, Julia. From the Bulk Barn, I get this dried ginger that's covered in sugar. It's covered in, what kind of sugar is it? It's still sugar. It's a healthier sugar, but it's still sugar. So it is sugar. You don't want to overdo it. But they're probably the size of like a toonie. There you go. Size of the toonie. And you can suck on them for a while, and it's really good after a meal for digestion, but it gives you that sugar too, so it kind of satisfies for those of you that really enjoy something that's sweet after you have your dinner. It's a great way that you're not going to you could not have a whole bunch of dried ginger. It would be too spicy, too hot. It's just something I think you could overdo personally. Maybe some of you guys will surprise me, but it's a great thing to have from the Bulk Barn. Just pop one of those in your mouth, and it satisfies that sugar craving. And what is everyone else saying? So it's just fantastic. It's one of my favorites. Any non-chocolate sweet ideas? Oh, you're not a chocolate fan, eh, Ash? Dried ginger, yes. Try the dried ginger for sure. Non-chocolate sweet ideas. Ash, tell me what you want substituted, and I'll be able to kind of like narrow in on you better. What is it that you crave a lot that you would be wanting to find a like a non-guilty thing for? I mean, I'm gonna grab a sip of my beer while you figure that out. Yuck what? Yeah, I'm gonna try the dried ginger for sure. Thanks, Ash. Yuck to what? What are you talking about? Yuck to what? What is it, the sweet stuff that you want me to... Sweet ideas that you want? I'll have to think on and get back to you maybe. Nothing is coming to mind. Oh, okay. Will it be more... I'm trying to think other than chocolate, because I'm such a chocolate fan. That's really hard to do. There's the ginger. Even something as simple, Ash, as having, if you like sweet stuff throughout the day, or like after a meal, like I'm saying, even something as simple as having a tea with a little bit of raw honey in it, and that can do the trick. And at least it has like a little bit of antibacterial, fungal, like it has like positive, if you get the raw honey, it has like the positive effects in there as well, with a little bit of sugar to pick up that sugar spike that you're looking for, that flavor. And cool thing for those of you that get allergies, if you get local honey, it's really supposed to help with your allergies. So if you get local honey, there is one that I just got recently from Orno, Wildflower or something, but I picked it up at Feel Good Health Store in Whitby, and yeah, and Matt gets really bad allergies, so I'm hoping that will help with his allergies this summer. I'm not a big sweet person, but do need some, I'm assuming you meant. I'm trying to think of other sweet ones that don't include chocolate. It's always my go-to because that's what I crave and what a lot of women crave, but if I think of any else, I'll let you know. But what I could do for you guys is put together like a little PDF if you want. And if you guys, for those of you that aren't signed up for the newsletter, sign up for our newsletter. I can put a link there, and then I'll email this to you, the PDF as well as this video. Yeah, anytime, Ash. But yeah, so, oh, you like my hair too? Ash did that. Ash, who I'm talking to. But yeah, so those are my how to make your naughty foods healthy. So those are kind of the main ones, but as always, I'm happy to come back on here for the next 24 hours and answer your questions. So make sure you comment below. I know this is the first time I've done it on a Wednesday at 8 p.m. So I'm thinking that a lot of people might not tune in until later, but I'm happy to come on here for the next 24 hours and answer your naughty food questions and get back to you with healthy alternatives so that you can eat the foods that you love without the guilt, or without the bloating, or without the constipation, or without the diarrhea, or without the acne, or whatever. So just so you can have the foods that you enjoy and not feel gross about it, really. Because it's all about finding alternatives and healthy options if you want lasting success. So anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And I hope that you guys are down with our 8 p.m. Wednesday Girl Talk. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. And I will share, I'll share this with you guys via email, as well as like a PDF with some of these recipes for you. If you have an interest in that, make sure you sign up if you're not signed up for our newsletter. Okay? So have a good night, and I will talk to you guys soon. And hey, cheers. Cheers, guys. Talk soon. Bye.